Hi, good evening, and welcome everybody to this week's LWP podcast. So, before we get underway tonight, as you are all aware, we've got Marco Marineli with us tonight. So, just before I bring him in, I do want to let everybody know that I'm having a little bit of difficulty tonight with the old internet. For some reason, my internet keeps dropping. So, if it does happen to drop out, don't worry, we will be back. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be fine. So, without further ado, shall we get the man in himself?
Evening.
Marco, good evening.
Being joined by Mrs. Marinelli as well.
Marco and Mrs. Marinelli.
Hello again.
The more the merrier on this one, I tell you. So, Marco, let's go right back to the very, very beginning. So, where did your passion for wrestling come from?
It depends. Are you saying as a fan or when I actually decided to go off and train to be a wrestler?
Let's do both. So let's do the fan. I'm guessing it will probably be pretty similar to most of us.
Probably, yeah. Obviously, it went back to it goes back to 1991. Actually, no, it goes even further than that. I must have been about. I could have been no more than 4 years old. I had a great auntie. Her name was Violet, and every Saturday she'd come around my parents' house, and World of Sport was on, and it was just so funny. Normally, my Aunt Vi was she was chatty and she was always smiling and laughing. But when wrestling came on, when World of Sport came on, it was just so funny to see her transform into the most maniacal individual. She'd be screaming and hollering at the TV. And my nan, she would be telling her to calm down, and my mum would be telling her to calm down, and I was just like taking it all in, thinking, what's she getting so upset about? So I went straight up to the TV and I sat in front of the TV and I just watched. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew it was something. So it goes as far back as that. But of course, obviously, 1991 was the year I really got into it. Obviously that was like the WWF Hulkamania era and things like that. So everyone knows it. Everyone's got their own individual, thing that hooked them.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it seems to always come from watching as a child. That does seem to be the common denominator there. So everybody's watched it from being little, and then they're like, I want to do that. So you see it, you was again fixated, you wanted to become a wrestler. So how did your journey start? So how did you find somewhere to train? Because that's not always easy either, is it?
No, it's not. I remember years ago, I did once go to, I believe it was Dropkicks in Purfleet. I did one session there, but I went back. I've been getting crushed by someone else here now. Say hi to Gemma. Hi. But then that was like a 3-year gap between actually going to a different school. I remember going to a Ring of Honor school at the Broxbourne Civic Hall, and I think I ran into Mark Sloan, I think it was. I asked him where I could go to train, and he recommended. He actually recommended LDN wrestling. So I went to LDN and started out there. And funny enough, that really was where the foundation was laid, because I met pretty much all my best friends in wrestling are all in that same school, who I'm glad to say I'm still friends with today.
Oh, that's dead sweet. That's dead nice. I like that.
I mean, those situations obviously arose. I was there for 2 years, and me and another guy, sadly, passed away a few years ago. A guy called Owen Davies. We decided, we decided that we'd become a tag team, and I did this on a dare. My friends, who are also wrestling fans, they got me to masquerade a gimmick called Marco the Magnificent. It was a magician gimmick, and I. Thing is, the joke was I didn't know nothing about magic. I could not do magic tricks. I never have been able to. So it was like an in-joke thing. But Owen, he actually came up with the idea that we just go out with top hats and black coats and matching ring attire. So he was the pioneer for the tag team that we called ourselves as the Magic Circle. And of course, we decided, along with a lot of other people who, as I said, who I made friends with, the War Machine Bono, the Monster Judas, Amazon, Bad Boy Boo Lamont, B-Ray, London Inc., Axel Lynch, also another friend of mine, Scott Rolton, who has many gimmicks, by the way, so I'm pretty sure he's watching this. Hey, mate. We ventured out into other schools in order to try to get our foot in the door, which led us to somewhere in Norfolk, in Norwich, and obviously some stayed and then some left. So,
as you do, as life happens, eh?
Exactly.
So, do you remember your first professional match?
I do, and funny enough, it's actually still on YouTube. My friend Brad, he's been a supporter for me from day one, and he, along with a lot of other people. I remember it being in Totteridge, and funny enough, it was against forget his last name. My mind's gone blank. Tate Mayfair's, who wrestles for Rumble Wrestling. That was my actual first ever match. It was against him. If you find it on YouTube, it's funny that he's just this scrawny little kid, and there I am, trying to beat him up, and then he ends up throwing confetti in my face, which was part of my gimmick as the magician. He ends up blinding me with that, and then he ends up like launching himself over the top rope, splashing me and pinning me for the 1, 2, 3. It's actually really funny. It's really funny because funny enough, about a couple of months ago, I wrestled down at the Broxbourne Civic Hall, and he's part of. He's been doing so good for himself. And I tip my hat off to him. He's a really good talent.
Oh, bless you! Aren't you dead sweet? So,
you was expecting something a little bit more cynical, weren't you? You was expecting someone a little bit more.
Well,
edgier.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm more used to your character as opposed to you as a person. Now, the difference is unreal, right?
Nah, he's always there.
Yeah, but
always there.
I mean, to be fair, you're lovely as a person, but your character can be a bit of an ass.
I've been called worse, yeah.
So to actually see, Mrs. Marinelli agrees too.
I'm not going to swear in sign language for her because then she won't stop laughing. Not going to use bad words. You won't stop laughing.
You've done it anyway. So with your first match, we'll get onto your character in a little while, but with your first match, would you have changed anything about it if you could? So if you could redo it now, what would you have changed? Obviously, you'd have probably taken the win, I'm guessing.
Well, I will say this. On the day, I remember being really, really nervous. I mean, I was, well, to be fair, I was bricking it, if I may say so. But I remember a good friend of mine, someone who I watched as a teenager, when he used to come and wrestle at Waltham Abbey at the Town Hall, Phil Powers. He pulled me aside and he gave me some really good advice about longevity and about it's kind of like the old saying, never put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing. And funny enough, coming away from it, I thought, wow, we got. I mean, the reactions were there, but I didn't feel like I really did anything. I thought I was supposed to do like a million things, but the old saying goes. I mean, that also was very remnant on what Jason Cross, the Welsh wizard, who was one of my teachers. He would always emphasise the importance of less meaning more, and it's like that situation where you can be told it, but you can't understand it until you're in that situation. Only then do you understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, to be fair, wrestling isn't easy. People assume it's really easy, right? You hear it all the time, I'm sure.
There's a whole lot more to it than. But then again, that's why it doesn't really bother me. Really, I've got friends. In particular, I had a school reunion quite a short while back, and I told all my friends that that's what I did on the side. And obviously, they were like, "Really, you do that?" Because we was all wrestling fans at one point or another in school, and and I sat down and they asked me what it was like. So I told them about. So the one thing that you always used to hear, like, I hate. We all used to hear the F word, and that's just a no-no. It's like there's nothing. The best phrase I ever heard was, the one thing you can't fake is gravity, and trust me, any wrestler can vouch for that. It's like you can big yourself up all you want, but the one thing is when you get in there, it's a very real type situation, and that's what, if anything, that's what cemented my respect for it more than anything. Really,
and injuries happen, don't they?
Yeah.
What injuries have you had over the years? Because how many years have you been wrestling for?
Well, I'd say, I started training in 2006, but it's really hard to really count those first 2 years because that was really about learning the craft more than anything. But then again, you're always learning the craft as you go on anyway. But I would probably say that when I started to earn money from wrestling, from actually wrestling matches, I would say from 2008. So it's easily been about 15 years. And I'd probably say the worst injury I've ever actually had was actually when I cracked my hand. Can't quite remember who I was wrestling, but whatever it was, I'd rolled the guy up, and obviously he kicked out, and I obviously rolled away, but obviously he didn't. But when he kicked out, he just as quickly as he kicked out, his back landed on my hand, and my hand was up on the canvas like this. It weren't flat. That's why I always say, that's a cardinal mistake. Never put your hands up like that. Have it down, because obviously if someone treads on it, you could easily break your hand, and obviously it was like it was that little bone just there. I'd probably say that was the worst one I had, but it was only a minor crack. But then again, there was another time where, well, funny enough, it wasn't even in a wrestling match. It was actually in a training where someone got a little bit overzealous and slammed me down on the canvas and ended up shooting my neck out of place. So that was a little bit of a unique situation, but thankfully, someone was able to clip my neck back in place.
Oh, Marco. I know it sounds weird,
very safe hands, I must add.
I love blood, guts, and gore. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's amazing. I do. I am a bit sick like that. But bones, I don't do bones.
Trust me. You should see her. She breaks some bones as well. Just put her in a box.
So is Mrs. Marinelli your worst opponent?
I'm saying yes for the sake that she's sitting next to me.
That's one opponent you're never gonna win.
Yeah, she'll agree. She'll agree to that.
Yeah, definitely.
She's smiling, so she knows.
That's because you're never going to win. You are never going to win against Mrs. Marinelli. You've got no chance.
No, no, I think that's just the man's. In fact, that's just men in general. We never win. We can
No,
carry it
it's
up
a
as much
woman's
as we want. We
prerogative.
never win.
That's because us women are always right.
Okay.
Apart from when we're not, but we won't discuss that, right?
Even when you're not, you still are.
That's the one. So let's just pop on to fitness for a little bit, because I've said it a million times now. People are sick of hearing it. But I did one training session and I was exhausted. Fitness wise, how hard do you have to work on your fitness levels to keep you at the level that you're at now?
Well, that is you can't really answer that, because the truth is I've always pushed myself when it came to training, and then sometimes I was never really I'm never satisfied. I mean, to be fair, since October of last year, I actually took up intermittent fasting to try to cut weight, and I'm actually pleased with the results. I mean, I started at about 15.8 back in October, and weighed myself last week. I'm currently down to just a shade under 14 and a half stone. So I'm pleased I've shed that extra stone, because I mean, guys like Aaron Sharp. I look at Aaron's physique. I mean, I know it's just a constant. It's a constant. Regime for him. It's always there. I mean,
he goes running for an hour. Running.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, and funny enough, I mean, that's the one thing I've actually found myself being able to do a lot more easier than I did before. Especially with Laura. I mean, we actually completed a 10K run about a month or so ago, and along with a lot of Sunday morning runs and things like that. I mean, Laura's always been into her fitness. You really like your fitness, and funny enough, Laura's actually giving herself up to take part in an obstacle course on May 20th. She's raising money for a charity called For Louis. It's like a colour obstacle course where they throw paint at the people that are going on the course. So she's really psyched for that. But she's also up for the challenge. Thursday she actually got into doing a little bit of practice on a little makeshift obstacle course. So, so she's like, so the way she's like the one. She's the one that thinks like, you know what, I've got to catch up to her. I've really got to try and get on her level.
Yeah, I don't think you've got no chance. I think you should give it up now.
Oh no, not with her track record. She's done like 2 London marathons and 1 Scottish marathon. She's competed in a wrestling match. She's competed in a boxing match, an exhibition boxing match. I know she's been trampolining all her life. She's been boxing training since easy for the last 20 years. So she's a machine.
So why is Mrs. Marinelli not actually in the ring?
Asking, why are you not wrestling? Well, because it's a much more of a riskier factor with her because she's got cochlear implants on both sides of her head. I mean, even boxing, the fact that she can only do boxercise and she will do sparring and very light boxing. I mean, people will watch this and think, "Oh, it sounds like you're tooting your own horn here," but this is God's honest truth. Her trainer and her friend, a guy called Gary Johnson, he's been training boxers for a long time. Yeah, and that's the impact. Yeah, she's saying the impact is quite.
Yeah.
She took a couple of bumps. She did do a training session once as well, and one time she did bang the back of her head on the canvas. So it rang in her head a lot more than other people. It would other people because of her implants in the head. But I was going to say that her friend Gary Johnson, he's been training boxers for a long time, and he said that if it weren't for her condition with her deafness and her blind and her partial sightness, with the tenacity that she's got, she easily could have applied herself to have gone to Olympic level. That would be, at least the potential. At least the potential was there for it.
I reckon Laura, if she was able to take up wrestling, I reckon she would absolutely kick your backside into touch.
Oh yeah, I mean, funny enough, when she did come to do some training, and she did, she was doing, she was learning like the drills, like the chain wrestling drills, and people did say, oh, she's a natural. It's just a shame about everything because the way, she clocked it. She clocked it straight away.
It's crazy. She's better than me. Well done, Laura. Well done, lovely. I'm impressed. So let's move on to your character a little bit. So we've already touched on that your character can be a little bit of an ass.
Yeah, he can be.
It's also been said that you use underhand tactics.
I think Bobby Heenan said it best. Really, it's like what is cheating at the end of the day? If it's for gaining an advantage, why not? Yeah, I mean, I can understand why people would think that. Well, again, they can think that because they see me do it. But as long as the rest, what's it? I think Jesse Ventura said it best: "Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat and never get caught."
So would you class it as cheating or would you class it as underhand tactics?
I would say just overzealous assertiveness, if that's
I like it. I like that. Well done. Yeah. Don't yourself out of anything with that.
You'll always find a way around it.
So basically, it's cheating, right?
I'm not saying nothing, eh? A magician never reveals his secrets.
No. You've already told me you're not a magician. You've already told me you're not. So your titles then over the years, what titles have you held?
Blimey, I think I've had more titles than Brutus Beefcake. I did. What is it? First off, it was Marco the Magnificent, and then I called myself Il Martello, which is Italian for the hammer. It was like a nod to Greg the Hammer Valentine. There was L'Avvocato, which is like advisor. I really did dislike the sound of it, and then I called myself the Truth. Then it was La Verita, which is just the Italian version of the Truth. And now I call myself Immaginato, which is the outcast in Italian.
So where did the Italian
Marco Marinelli himself?
Where did the Italian link come into it? Where's that come from? Because you're not actually you don't live in Italy, do you?
Yes, I don't live in Italy, no, but I am half Italian.
Right. Okay.
It's a link to the my Italian heritage. I mean, I was born in England, but my dad was born in Italy. Of course, then the family came over to live in England. So he's a full-blooded Italian. My mum's full English, so I'm half and half. So I'm half
I did
Italian.
wonder where that came from, to be honest.
Because I'm not lying.
Well, I've spoke to you obviously quite a few times now, and I've never noticed like an accent at all, and I was like, where did that come from? Is this like Gino off the telly?
No, my accent's a lot more convincing than Gino's.
It actually is, to be fair. I'll give you that.
Isn't that what you'll say?
So what championships have you held as well? Because you've held quite a few championships over the years as well, haven't you?
I've held 3 titles in my career so far. I am currently the HEW World's Champion. I recently won that on February 25th in Takeley after going against Brett Meadows. I have held a British light heavyweight title and a British heavyweight title as well.
So you've had a few. So have you got your sights set on any more championships?
I definitely would like to do the clean sweep in Lion Wrestling Promotions, the British title as well as the World's title.
So not just one, you want to do a clean sweep. You want them all?
I want to do a Bret Hart. I want to do the Bret Hart. One after the other.
Oh my God. Well, we'll see what happens with that one, eh? What has been your best match to date? Which has been the one that just completely sticks out in your head that you absolutely loved?
I easily have to see if I could. I think there'd be if I had to pick a top 5. One was the recent bout against Brett Meadows, because I say that because I'll give you a bit of a backstory. One of the biggest matches I had at the very beginning of my career was against Brett Meadows. At the time, I was a rookie, and Brett absolutely beat the what out of me, and it was a learning experience. So in order to go in there and knowing that how Brett wrestles, I think Brett is he's a tremendous showman and he's a great wrestler. I'd easily say that going toe to toe, taking because he chopped me. If you go, you actually find it it's on YouTube. HEW New Year's Showdown. We absolutely batter each other in that match. And I was pleased to be able to go the distance with him, really, because otherwise, back 15 years ago, he'd have eaten me alive. Another match I've got to say was also in HEW with someone who I've known for the past 15 years, a wrestler called the War Machine, Bono. I know he'll probably be watching this at some point, because we've known each other for, I said 15 years, but never once did we actually have a match against each other. And yeah, and he gave me everything he had. He didn't hold back, and he didn't want me to do anything less either. We went in there, and we just threw everything at each other. I thought I just enjoyed the chemistry with him, so much, and that's definitely one for me. But then again, I've also got to say the match I had against TJ Daniels when I won my first title. TJ's he's a great high flyer. He's a great wrestler. I'm not too sure he wrestles much now, but that was one I always remember. Funny enough, I will have to say that the most unique match I ever had was against the Knight family in a street fight where basically I had everything thrown at me. I was slammed on ladders. I had baking trays smashed over my head. I even had a bowling ball thrown between my legs. So, just little things like that. Really. I easily say those are my favourite ones.
Okay, so they're your favourite matches. So let's look at if you could wrestle anybody. We're talking past here. So we're talking 80s, 90s wrestlers. If you could wrestle absolutely anybody, who would it be and why?
Oh, how many choices I got? Is it got to be one? I can't.
No, I'll let you have a couple.
I have a couple. Okay. If I could go back to the 80s, without a doubt, Randy Savage. In the 90s, no doubt, it'd be Bret Hart. And if I had to come into necessarily like the Nitro and the Monday Night Wars, I'd easily say Eddie Guerrero. Those three.
I can see why. To be fair, I can see why. Yeah, definitely.
They were incredible.
And out of the up and coming wrestlers that you're coming across these days, who would you want to take on? I mean, obviously, I know you want Aaron. You want the Lion. You want to be in the Lion's
Den. We will be on May 31st. We will be on May 31st. I mean, that is definitely. I have to say, honestly, I was absolutely. I was knocked on the floor when I saw what he put up on Facebook saying he wanted to wrestle me, and because when I first met him, our paths very rarely crossed in the ring, which is a real shame because I saw him. If I have a little backstory, I do remember remember one time we was in a training session, and I remember Aaron, like, he mentioned to me about he wasn't too sure about what he was going to do, you know, wrestling wise. I don't know if he remembers this, but I just remember him saying, "Mate, you're good." I would say just stick the course at the end of the day, you know, because at the end of the day, I would say that. Yeah, I told it like it was, because I saw him coming through, and I just saw him like rise through the ranks. And every time he went out, he just got better and better. And I thought, and the fact that I've got a chance to wrestle him, to me, that's easily going to go into my top 5. It's already in my top 5, and I'm not even had the match yet. So
Not even there.
God honest truth, I really am looking forward to wrestling him.
Yeah, I reckon that'll be a good match, to be fair. That's on the 31st of May, isn't it? Yeah, I thought it was. So before we get to the 31st of May, we've got the 13th of May, Annihilation. I've seen your promo.
Well, I hope they take note, because, like I said, I don't want a breeze for opponent. I don't want a preliminary competitor. I want someone who is going to push me, because at the end of the day, I'm going to need someone who is going to, you know, make me, you know, think outside the box, make me think to myself, right, put myself in a situation where, you know, if I've got to go up against someone like Aaron, I need someone who's gonna, you know, who's gonna come at me with everything he's got, because I know I wouldn't expect anything less from Aaron.
So what can we expect from you on the 13th of May then? You're just saying that you want a worthy opponent. You want somebody that is going to push you to your absolute limit. So what can the fans expect to see from you? What are you going to deliver?
What am I going to deliver? Well, first off, I'm going to deliver the W for me. So I rolled in on May 31st against Aaron. Well, like I said, at the moment, I don't know who my opponent is. So you'll find out what I'll bring when the bell rings. You got to be there, because, like I said, you got to be there to see it. And plus, a little plus note is May 13th is actually my birthday. So
is it
that'll
really?
be a double celebration. Yeah, so I'll be celebrating for my birthday, and it'll be even better when I get the W.
Well, Tracy, you know the ref Tracy, she'll be watching this. So, Tracy, it's Marco's birthday. I think we'll need a cheesecake. Everybody needs cheesecake on the birthday, especially Tracy's cheesecake.
Definitely, yeah. You have a little bit of a break from the diet if it's your birthday.
How old are you on your birthday, if you don't mind me asking?
Have a guess.
21 plus VAT.
Yeah, 41.
I was going to say, yeah, I thought you was roughly around my age, because I'm rapidly approaching 40. So I thought you was somewhere around there. But...
Yeah. See, I'm an old man compared to you.
Oh, honestly, can you believe it? Approaching 40. Well, you're approaching 41 now, aren't you?
Oh, don't.
Do you feel it?
You know, I was old when I was 37.
Do you feel it though now in comparison to when you was younger in the ring, or do you just think that over time you've just got so used to it?
You do. I think you do get used to it. But again, I don't really think that is restricted, you know, to age. It's like, because I remember a few years ago. I mean, I took a little bit of a sabbatical after our daughter was born, and I remember getting back into the ring for the first time, and I just felt like really, really rusty. Even like taking a bump in the ring, I was a little bit apprehensive. But once you when you come out of there and you wake up the next morning, you think, it didn't feel as hard as it did before. But again, that's what you do. You do become accustomed. To it. But funny enough, I mean, I think, in all fairness, I feel no different now than when I was 24. I feel
really.
I feel honestly, if anything, I probably feel a lot better because I've been hitting the gym a lot. I've been watching what I eat. I've been, so I've been doing this intermittent fasting. So I definitely feel that on a positive note.
So mental health, I find, is massive these days. Everybody struggles somewhere along the lines in regards to mental health. I think it's just the way the world is these days. Do you think that your wrestling, your diet, your exercise, do you think that that has an improvement on mental health?
I would say that it does, but then again, there are some things where sometimes isolation is probably not the best answer. Nothing beats just proper communication with people, and but if you and I find that if you have people around you that really care about you, and you have that openness with them, you don't feel so isolated. Training is one thing. It can distract you. It can motivate you. It can motivate you to stay out of the darkness and just stay positive. But then at the same time, it's only one piece of the puzzle, really. I think the major piece is also communication with people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, I was talking to Aaron last week, and he was really open about his struggles with mental health. But like I say, I do think it's the way of the world now. I think everybody is going to struggle at some point or another. But again, Aaron has got a great family, just like you have. Like, I know Laura comes with you, doesn't she, to support you in your matches when you come to Skeg? She's there.
Yep.
How important is Laura's support?
Well, I mean, it's not just one person now. It's also two people. The other little person over there is obviously she enjoys coming and watching wrestling.
She's hiding though, isn't she, at the minute?
What's that?
She's hiding at the minute, isn't she? Bless her. She's hiding.
Well, to be more specific, she's got Disney Plus on mute, so she's up in her own little world.
Oh, bless her.
There's that look. There's that look again.
So how important is the support from the family?
It's great. It is a great support, really, because it's something that you get to share with them. Really, it's like I said, wrestling. It was the one thing that I really fell in love with, like back when I was a kid. So the fact that I can bring them and they can they support me. That means a lot. That does mean a lot.
When you I find your entrances fascinating because you walk out, you give it all, the crowd go mental, you give them crap. Do you know what I mean? Like, that fascinates me. Like, how do you get in your head ready to make that entrance? Because that must be some days it must be quite intimidating because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, true. I mean, I have to say that the character that I created, I have to say that I kind of look at him, and if I had to really give him any sort of a comparison from any other sort of character from film or TV, I'd easily have to say he's kind of like Draco Malfoy mixed with Owen Hart. That's the only really comparison I get. It's like, when he started, I always thought myself, when I was given the office to come up with this character, I remember first couple of times I came out and the song from Joe Dolce was played, "Shut Up Your Face," and and I think that did evoke a reaction from people, I must say. But at the same time, I thought, no, probably one of the best people that really studied character work in film was probably Sylvester Stallone, because I think his his work with Rocky Balboa is just, and all those other characters that he created. It's like, it's just incredible. And it's like, he said himself, it's like he took a character that from the outside, everyone is just thinking, oh, he's just a thug because he dresses in black and he looks like a bully. He looks like a thug. But, he delved deeper into why he was like that. Well, how did he get there? What happened to him to get him to that point of having to be that way? And so basically Marco Marinelli is basically, he's a very complex person. He wants respect, but he doesn't know how to go about getting it. He tried to do it the right way, but he always seemed to be like, he was faced with people that would want to shove him down, and keep him in a certain spot. And he thought, and in his own mind, he's thinking, hold on, what did I do to deserve to, have you judge me or to, penalize me or to categorize me or stereotype me? And it was just little by little, the anger just really built up inside him, and he just. So I'll tell you, one of the best lines I ever saw. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Star Wars series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You ever seen it? Okay. If you're a Star Wars fan, go and see it, because there's a great line that Darth Vader actually delivers. He says, "I am what you made me." So in other words, he's basically saying, if I'm this way, if you think I'm a bad person, I'm only this way because you made me that way. I didn't want to be this person, but you made it. You made me that way. It's his way of living with what he is, and a typical, heel in a heel move. It's always everyone else's fault, except your own. There's no responsibility taken for your own actions. But at the same time, I always feel sorry. I'm probably the only one person in the world that feels sorry for Marco Marinelli.
Probably. More than likely.
And that's fine by me.
So, at the minute, as we've already said, Annihilation, we don't know who your opponent is yet.
Oh, yeah.
You are wanting it to be somebody that is going to push you to your absolute limits. But would you ever, and this is a would you ever consider doing death matches?
No. Never.
No. I'm glad you said that, because I mean, I love Blood, Guts and Gore, and I look at the death matches, and even I'm like, no, can't watch, too much.
I mean, if he sees this, I hope he's not offended by the fact that I say, because death matches are just not my thing. It's like you have to have a very unique toughness to be able to withstand what they do, and and I tip my hat off to them, but at the same time, I've seen people I know do death matches, but I also know that they're good wrestlers, not just good, they're great wrestlers. I mean, Big F, I mean, and I said, I hope he's not offended. I hope he doesn't get upset by me mentioning him, but Big Effing Joe, I mean, he's made a tremendous name for himself, and he deserves all the luck in the world. It's just that when I see some of the things that those guys have to endure for that reaction, it's just not my cup of tea. It's like, if anything, I worry about them, because
I'm with you.
I mean, as I said, I look at wrestling. Well, when you go in there in the general sense of the word, wrestling is tremendously risky. But then again, you then add all those other things on top of it. You think, it's like you just pray they don't. You just pray that nothing serious happens to them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because but then again, it's not my place to really categorize or judge or nothing. It's like, if that's what they feel that they can do, then okay, then just, if anyone's saying, just be careful.
Like you've already touched on, Big Effing Joe, classic. He loves his death matches. You can see that he's in his element. Perfect. but that suits him. But death matches don't suit everybody, and not everybody is going to want to do them.
No. I think I read a tweet quite recently from MJF when he was talking about like the level of intensity and the level of the lengths that wrestlers have to do to incite the reaction. I mean it was Sammy Nee actually sent me a video clip. I think it was from AEW, where I can't remember who the wrestlers were, but it was the move. It was the what was it? My mind's gone blank. It must be my age. It's probably kicking in here. But what's it called? It's like the sunset flip that turns into the pile driver. What's that move? You know what I'm talking about? When the guy flips over. It's like
my head's worse than yours, so you're asking the wrong person, to be honest.
Sorry, I'm sorry. No, my mind's gone blank. But basically, it was this one move where they did this move, and it was on like an apparatus. It was done on like a table and with ladders underneath, and the guy ended up breaking his leg, like legit breaking his leg, and Sammy said, you know what, sooner or later someone is going to end up like getting hurt a lot worse, or even worse. And I think it's very remnant from what happened back in 1999 with Owen Hart, with that whole thing. It's like, what was the point in that? Did it? Was that it wasn't necessary for what happened with him? And sometimes I just think, you don't. There are some things where you just don't. You don't need to. You don't.
It's a bit much, right?
Less means more. Less means more sometimes.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, Marco, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, Laura. It's been lovely to see you both, and I will see you both on the 13th for Annihilation.
We're both on the 13th of May, yeah? Yeah? Are you going to come? Oh, don't know. She might be saying, she might be doing so. She might be washing her hair that day.
She's busy.
Hey, yeah? Are you coming? Oh, she's coming. Okay.
Oh, there you go. You're not on your own. Don't worry, Marco.
I've got it on here. So if she says no, if she says she can't come, say no. You said it live on the podcast, so you can't back out.
Oh, Bobby's just put in the chat, Canadian Destroyer.
Thank you.
Cheers, Bobby. And he's also put in the chat, will Aaron Sharp be working double duties on May the 13th as a ref for your match, Marco, as well as wrestling his tag match? We can't answer that, can we?
I can't answer that. But then again, if he wants to scout me, that might be the best thing to do. Because trust me, I'll be scouting him.
So should we expect you around the apron then while Aaron's in the ring?
I'm just trying to get my face in the shot here. Laura's just reminding everyone that I'm turning 41. Thanks, babe.
It's all right, Laura. We'll do an announcement on the night.
They'll tell everyone on the night.
Yeah. Making his way to the ring is 41-year-old today.
Big bum.
I said, it will literally be, I'm making his way to the ring is the 41-year-old today.
I'll tell you one thing, the music people better not play Happy Birthday. Because then I'm going to be really cheesed off.
Neve is watching, so you can never rule it out.
Well, for you, well, I'm saying it right now. Sad birthday. Oh yeah. She's basically saying if that gets announced, I'll be annoyed.
Well,
they say they are going to do it. Oh, there you go. So I'm going to be very grumpy going to the ring.
If you didn't want us to know, you shouldn't have told us.
As if I wasn't already.
You'll be fine. Marco, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I will see you both on the 13th.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Can I say bye, sweetheart? Come on. Quickly. Come on.
Oh, bless her.
5, 4, 3, 2. Here you go.
Bye.
Bye, darling.
Thank you very much, Gemma.